Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the radio podcast program, which we call Interesting Ideas. And I think I'm going to change the name just a little bit as a result of my thinking today. It might be Interesting Ideas for Our Changing World. And I'll tell you a little bit the story about that. Well, is it just exactly what I said? The day. Yes, the day that many people, now long gone, but December 7th, 1941, that Sunday morning, that generation of people who were conscious at that time are just like the people who were around for Kennedy's assassination and then for the terrible 9/11. When we heard the news, we know exactly where we were and what we were doing. And on December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor was bombed, and it was the start of the Second World War and all of the terrible things that came out of that situation. Well, this is the day that we commemorate, and there's always a ceremony at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, and it's over the still remains of the battleship Arizona that goes still as a commissioned ship, and where the bodies still of many of those people are entombed. Yes, December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor Day. Now, I'm going to tie that into something else, a very significant person in my life, though I never met him, though he has influenced me greatly. And so I wanted to put this little program together in front of my golden microphone and also make it a radio program with a little bit of my own personal performance in it. And it truly is about the strangest secret, and it is truly about something that affected me deeply and dearly, and I think it hopefully will affect you even today. In 1921, a gentleman who became known as Earl Nightingale was born in what became a broken family, and off he went. At the age of 17, he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps and actually served briefly as a talented young man as an instructor in the Marine Corps, just about an hour and a half away from where I am at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. But it just so happened that on December 7th, 1941, he was stationed as one of the Marines in Pearl Harbor right on the battleship U.S. Arizona. And in the attack, he relates that he got blown into the water and his life was saved, and obviously hundreds, up to thousands of his colleagues did not. He then tells the story. He said, from that day forward, there was nothing that I was really afraid of. There was nothing that I should fear. And that was because, he said, I should be dead. I should have been dead at 18 years of age, and here I am. And my life is kind of free. Whatever happens to me now, whatever happens in between that, is certainly a gift for me because I should be dead. And it turns out, those of you who may know a little bit about Earl Nightingale, he got a job in radio and eventually began to do a whole series of radio programs, was really one of the founders of the motivational movement. And with his partner named Conant, Nightingale Conant became one of the premier distributors of some of the early motivational, first of all, literally 78 RPM records, then on LPs, and then they got into that brand new technology called cassettes, and then, of course, into CDs, and of course now they simply produce their programs, and you can download it after you pay a small fee for that. He was the founder of that kind of movement, and he did most of his work to sell his things through a radio program. And it was he did over 7,000 radio programs, wrote a number of books based on his radio programs, and scads of various audio programs. And as I was coming out of my life that I told you a little bit about, wondering what do I do now, he was one of the persons who really helped me out, because even though I didn't know what to do, here I was, as I said, no house, no car, no job, no money, broke, and a kid in college. How do I start over? I learned the lesson that I had to figure out a little bit more about how to be successful. And I raised up enough money to buy his programs. And I started to listen to them, and listen to them a lot. And so one of the programs that he put together, which became a million bestseller, was simply called, The Greatest Secret. And he goes into that, and some of you may know what the greatest secret was. And it wasn't any secret at all. But it was this, is what we think about, we become. What's in our mind, we become. Jesus has said, hey, what's inside of you is what comes out of you, It was no great secret, but he knew that it was a secret that most people didn't know. And so he went on to a number of ways of helping people do the mind work and the motivational work and the relational work. The mind work, the motivational work, and the relational work to be people of influence, people who could make their mark, people who could live successful lives. How to be truly successful. And at the same time, not lose your soul. In fact, perhaps even have your soul encouraged and enhanced and enlarged. And so I was a deep and dear student, and had many of his things, and as I could afford them, I got more of them, and then I finally got to the point where I could even begin to give them away. And of course, they became one of the ways that I was inspired, because I'd been in the radio. Hey, why don't you find a way that you can get on the radio? So I continue to do that. At the same time, start producing audio and radio programs, and then video programs that can be used to help people grow. And what I said was, I'm going to help people press toward the mark, which I got from the writer of the New Testament, St. Paul, who said, forgetting what is behind, easier said than done, I press toward the mark. And that became one of the things that happened to me, and where I learned a great deal about how I should become and how I should live and how I should continue to go and grow. So the fact that December 7th, and he was actually I said he was right on the boat, and that key lesson, he mentioned it all the time. He said, you're alive. What is there to be afraid of? Take risks. Do dangerous things if necessary. Be smart, but live. Live life fully. By the way, if I would challenge you to do that, if I would say, from now on, live fully. That's what he said. Live fully. What would that mean for you? Even if you're old like me, you're not dead yet. As the lady in the commercial says, as long as you've got a pulse, you've got a purpose. You've got a project for the day. What do you do? Because you're not dead yet. And that's how he lived. He lived to the age of 68, probably, unfortunately, due to an extensive cigarette habit, that his deep voice was not necessarily completely natural, but due to the fact that he probably indulged in that too much. But of course, men of that age and stage, that was very common. And of course, in many cases, still is. So at the age of 80, in 1989, at the age of 68, he passed away. But he lived on in many ways, and he lived very much on in the life that he gave to me. And I remember one day, and this is kind of how I just want to wind it up, because this became something that struck me deeply, and I try to live up to it. But I was actually on the treadmill, again, trying to keep my weight down, and I've got to do more of that right now, and it gets harder and harder as you get older and older. You all know that game. And I was listening to him, and all of a sudden he said something that stopped me cold. And he said this: if you want to be successful, if you truly want to be successful, treat every person you meet as if they were the most important person in the world. Treat every person you meet as if they were the most important person in the world. I hit the emergency stop on my treadmill, and I sat down, and I could not believe what I had heard. I'd heard about The Greatest Secret and all of those great stuffs that he had put together, and I would encourage you to go back, and it's timeless. What we call in the business, it's evergreen. It's always good. It doesn't age. It's evergreen, and you'll find some remarkable wisdom, insight, and truth and challenges to help you live a better life. But that thing has always caught me. Treat every person you meet as if they were the most important person in the world. Now, do I live up to that? Of course not. But I try to. And in many ways, even when I was dealing with a customer service rep who did not give in or do what I wanted, I still remembered, I will treat her as one of the most important persons in the world. And even though she did not give me what I want or take care of my problem, in effect, I said, all the best and blessings to you. Thank you for your attempt to help me. Treat every person you meet as the most important person in the world. So I remember Earl Nightingale survived, thank goodness. Someone said that he actually had a great sense of humor, even as a young man, and he got in trouble from time to time because when he was in uniform, he would not call it his uniform. He would call it his Marine costume, his Marine costume. And of course, that drove his commanding officer crazy. But he had that sense of wit about him. And he brought that sense of wit. That's why he was good at the radio. Not only did he have serious stuff, life-changing stuff, but there was always that touch of humor, that touch of, fancy, that touch of, whimsy to him. A little bit of good whimsy and wit actually makes your truth that much more palatable, and for many people, even more truthful. So on this day that he survived, Earl Nightingale, I take some time right now, sharing it with you right today. Didn't make this a week ago or anything else. Right today, I put together my thoughts as a tribute to Earl Nightingale. Both on the radio, thank you for listening. And for those of you who watched the video, thank you for enduring my presence and hearing my words. I'm very, very grateful. I'm very, very thankful for all of you who do just that. And whenever I fail to treat you as an important person, please let me know and let me correct my style, substance, or stuff on that. Best and blessings to you. Take care. Bye for now. Please reach out to us. I'm Stan Houston. StanHouston@gmail.com, witradio.net, 520-664-7002, USA.